so let's assume you want to test your system. The first thing you do is start checkbox, and this is what you see. Give you a very friendly message, what to expect, basically freezing and unresponsiveness here.
Doesn't tell you that it's going to ask you for pseudo.
No, it doesn't.
Which is the first thing it does.
Okay, so should
I follow the button?
shall we start taking notes?
Do we have a
demo? Yeah, exactly.
Are those icons clickable? Or are they just static images?
This is basically a static image. This text here is rendered like this, so this is translatable.
Because I just looked and go, I want to check my hard drive, and I tried to click the hard drive icon.
So do you think this is a clickable? Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I would look at them and
So,
think,
yeah,
it's wonderful, it's segmented into tabs. And
Reminds me of the KDE splash screen.
Yeah, that's
come up.
the image I hate. Pointless. I want to stab in the face of the man.
Okay, so
It's nice. But
the first screen, we only have 2 suggestions. Very cool. So well, everything is pretty straightforward. If I don't want to see this message again, if I use checkbox, I can click on this checkbox. If I don't mind, I can just click on OK to go on to
is there a way to make that appear again?
through a command line parameter. Because once you access the applications, there are no menus. It's a bit, well, it's done on purpose because it's a very simple application. But
Sure.
with the hub, these things here,
Yeah.
I was thinking that maybe adding menus to checkbox would give us ways of it being like more agile to use, which is a use case we are particularly interested in because we have to use it on 100 machines. So making it more agile is something that we potentially use. But we also don't want to entirely depend on the top of that. But maybe a menu with a set inside of what you can select this.
It's just that I have something ringing in my head from the designers that anything you do that to needs to be reversible somehow.
Yeah.
I realise it's a simple application, that it's not a massive deal, but you know.
Yeah, well,
For me, sometimes I'm recording like a video showing someone how to do something, and if I do it once to test to make sure I know how it works, and I tick that box, I'll never be able to get back to that screen to take a screenshot of it to show someone how to do it.
Yeah.
If that makes sense.
Okay, so let's go on.
One small little
Before
comment.
we go too far into the UI, just because I have only really one issue with Checkbox Qt,
Okay.
which is something that was brought up because of the various users and people wanting to do respins of checkbox for various users. There's currently issues with how it's being packaged that cause complications, if you will, for generating new copies of checkbox, and that cause concerns when we sponsor checkbox into the archive. So, Mark, if you want to,
Didn't know.
well, I was actually going to ask you if you could maybe give me a work item to look at the packaging with you or somebody
It's
else.
pretty trivial. It's just move the scripts to.
Yeah, it's moving. It's not just the scripts, but it's moving some files around.
I have only one minor thing. You said the word checkbox in the second sentence there, but if I'd seen this application for the first time, I'm going, system testing, checkbox, what checkbox? You're referring to the checkbox underneath the OK button, or is that the name of the application? Or, so, do we need to tell the user it's called checkbox?
We just put
Doesn't
this
it show up
application.
if you search the dash for checkbox?
Well, if you search that, you can search for checkbox. Comes up.
Doesn't work on mine.
You can search for system testing, then it comes up. Or you can search for friendly, which is basically what the other use for the touch. So, yeah, well,
That's
we might want to look at the, because one thing that has been happening is that translators literally translate checkbox, which is a program's name, to whatever it is in their languages. So it would be like translating Chromium to the name of the method in your native language, right? Nobody does that. Why do they do it for checkbox? But anyway,
That's
so
a crappy name.
Just put a TM after it.
yeah, exactly. It's just a little overload, not crap, but overload. Okay. So once you're going to go into the testing. Okay, this is one of your concerns that it asks you for your sudo password and it's not very clear what it's going to use it for.
Yeah, the fact that it says it's going to modify parts of my system.
Yeah.
When in fact all it wants to do is read.
Yeah, that's a consequence of using GK sudo that doesn't really let you specify a string for that. Or I'm not sure because we detect the environment the user is using. So if it's KDE, it uses KDE sudo. If it's GTK or it's GK sudo. So there's one of the two that doesn't let you specify a customized string. So I can do it for one of them, but not for the other. So, but yeah, it's something that we need to address. One of the options that we have been looking into is using a policy kit instead of sudo. So plus PK sudo, something like that. I don't know. That gives you a bit more control.
Did we notice Stokachu?
Runtime?
There's a there we go. Yes.
Yeah.
Good question.
Okay, so well, we're looking at the checkbox interface right now, and yes, we have 3 tabs, basically selection, run, and results. And the answer is that the run tab will be activated once I start testing, which is a button that I have in the selection tab. So for Stokachu, basically what we're doing is going through a checkbox run on the screen here.
What's the big purple blob at the top for?
This here was supposed to be the header image that we had on the previous screen. Somehow there was no time to actually make it work here. Sorry. And yeah, one other complaint that we've had is that the tabs, which are actually clickable, don't really look like tabs, so they don't give that visual cue that it's like something you can click on. It's a sequence. It's meant to be a sequence that you go first selection, then run the results. But if you need to go back, you can also do that.
Yeah, but tabs are not a very good way of showing progression through tasks. It's kind of like you can flick between them. But what do you use? Like the next, previous next buttons, maybe?
Or you could just redesign the buttons so they look like little arrows pointing to each other.
Yeah.
Do you even need them?
Yeah. Well, one of the goals with this new interface was the previous one had previous and next buttons, but that implies basically a sequence that you have to follow through entirely. And one of the goals here was to allow the user to go back to the selection tab to like maybe the select some tests that he doesn't want to run
While they're running?
While they're running. So as far as the UI goes, that was the idea, but I'm not sure that it works that well. We can potentially try it now.
So something that might be useful is at the top of the very
because
the very first test would be a little tick box that allows you to select all or deselect all.
Oh, good. Well.
Oh, I see. Yeah, that's not.
If you deselect tests, since most of them are required for Ubuntu friendly, you get this warning.
Okay. And the right click feature wasn't immediately.
Yeah. That feature is maybe a bit hidden.
Yeah.
Because nobody knows it's there.
So you could prompt the same dialogue if someone went in and just clicked the select all, deselect all box.
As Dr.
Yeah,
says.
Stokachu thinks the right click is not friendly. Okay.
Well, I have a question. So after you select, for example, like 10 test cases, would they run like in the order they are shown on the right?
Well, ordering is more of a core feature, not really an interface feature. Right now we are facing several problems with test ordering, but the idea is for them to run in an order that's not determined by what you see here, but by the dependencies they have. So it's not guaranteed that they will run in this order. But
would it be possible to detect the dependencies in the test and to show like an error message saying, oh, you can run this before this because of the dependency problem?
Well, you know about whitelists. The idea is for tests to run in whitelist order, but if there's a dependency that doesn't work because of like the whitelist ordering has a dependency misordering, then they get reordered at runtime so that you never have a run where a dependency comes before its dependence. So yeah, that's supposed to be a core feature, and we're done some work on that.
Have you already run a test case?
No, I haven't.
Well, why is that there is a done?
Because the information tests run either way. So these are the gathering tests. So
Do both of those windows scroll in sync?
Yeah.
Okay, I wouldn't have expected that.
Neither would have.
I would have expected there to be a table with the scroller on the right-hand side of everything. Having the scroller in the middle makes me think it'll scroll that one, but not that one.
Yeah.
A bit strange.
That's interesting. Okay. And actually, like each test has a mirror here. It's supposed to reflect the test run status.
Yeah, that's good, and it's good to expose that because I want to be. Sometimes I want to be able to go back to that screen and say, "Oh man, how many have I done? How far am I through this?" And
Color and icon be better than having like a string of text on the right hand side. And what about those checkboxes beside not started? What does that do?
Well, I think this is an artifact of the control that was used here. I mean, this probably shouldn't be here.
Right,
They're not
okay.
clickable.
it'd be nice if they were just red, yellow, green.
Yeah, color would be just easy.
Fail, not done, done, or something. Just to give you like a, lots of green, awesome. Lots of yellow, I've got work to do. Lots of red, woohoo, this is awesome.
Okay, that makes sense. So I'm going to choose a few deliberately easy tests here that we can try. I'm going to select the hotkeys category, which is pretty easy to test. And I'm also selecting an automated test so that we can see what happens. So now we're going to actually start the test run, which is exciting.
So this
fun.
mixes automated and manual tests.
Yes, some of them just collect information about your machine. Some others like do something automated and just they themselves know if they pass or fail. And a few others require your interaction. So like the hotkeys tests are.
I guess it would be nice if something that said, we're going to ask you some questions as these tests run. Please don't just press OK and then walk away.
It would be nice if there was some kind of indicator as to which ones are automatic, because I know some people would just go, tick all the automatic ones, and that's a quick win. If you do that. I don't know.
Badges?
Badges.
Badges?
A badge next to each a badge next to each case that tells you if it's automatic or manual.
A little icon or something. Maybe.
A little hand and a little robot or something. I don't know.
Robots.
So well, now I have started the test run. So let's see what happens. Okay, so the tests are starting to run. You can see progress up here.
It's very flashy. Like a sort of rotator would be nice.
Yeah, because of the way the core is designed, there's not really a way to know how much each test has progressed.
But even
you
just
know when
something
it
to
starts.
say in progress.
Yeah, you know when it starts and you know when it ends. Yeah, test bar is a bit flashy. That's something that we probably have to fix. So, okay, this is an example of a manual test. Let's go back to the selection tab before I do anything to see what happened back there.
Still catch you. Yes, the run tab gets selected automatically when you click on start testing.
Right.
It should.
Yeah.
It didn't though, but it should.
I should join the networks channel. How do the channels work?
Oh, okay, so
Dashes.
the Bluetooth test is
Ubuntu
on.
dash UDS dash
So, well, as you can see,
Junior
the
dash
brightness-
ballroom dash whatever.
The brightness test is in progress right now because I'm running it, but the other ones are not marked.
So you can't add once you've started.
Sorry?
Oh, you can. There's a
you
previous
can't-
next.
You can't go back to selection.
You can
Now
go back to-
tick
you
additional
can
things.
select or deselect any tests. So,
Right.
yeah.
Okay.
So yeah, that's also an artifact of the core, the way the core works. It just goes through tests on the line. Yeah, the thing in here is that it's everything that's done in the UI. The checkbox core is designed in a certain way, so making the UI do arbitrary things is not as straightforward as it looks. So, I mean, there's a reason why some of the behaviors seem quirky. It's because we depend on the checkbox core. So we take notes and we are going to try our best to match like expected behaviors, but we are always constrained by what the core wants.
Gotcha.
Okay.
And part of the reason is that the core has to cater to multiple user interfaces, so it has the lowest common denominator. I don't know, stuff like that. Okay, so let's go check this test. The description, this tells me what I'm going to test, and these are the instructions.
So the instructions look like there are two instructions here.
This is a 1 and this is a question mark.
Ah, okay, I can't see that.
Yeah, the color choice is a bit unfortunate. I'm not sure that's very clear. Maybe the background should be clear, so that you can actually see this is a question mark. So it's basically the format is going to have numbered steps, 1, 2, 3, whatever. And then the last one is going to be a question mark asking you something.
Right.
So basically, okay, oh, it works. Does the buttons change following the presses?
Oh,
So-
Daniel, wait a second, there's a question.
A compared to the earlier version of Checkbox, the skip option is embedded to the next button, right? When I press the next, that presents the skip. I'm not sure if.
Yeah, well, the previous version of Checkbox used to have a explicit skip button to go to the next test, but in this one it's implicit. So if I press next, the test will be skipped. So basically, I will not answer either yes or no, but all the contrary. I am skipping the test. So
should we add some comment to let the users know when we press next that means skip?
Ideally, I would hope that the UI is clear enough so that we don't need that text.
Yeah,
but if it's not clear, that means that we do need to improve it.
Yeah,
if you find it confusing, there's something wrong.
Yeah, if we have implicit behaviors and we need to explain them, then we might as well use explicit behaviors instead, right?
Agreed.
A button that says skip is much clearer than a text that says, okay, if you want to skip, you need to press the next button. Okay.
I mean, I agree. If there was a third button underneath that, yes, no, that said skip, and it functionally did exactly the same as next, that would be bizarre but logical for a lot of people, I think.
I don't see then why you need a previous button. If you want people to go through these tests in a linear fashion, do you want them going back and forth?
I've certainly had the occasion where I've gone forward and then thought, oh, they meant something else, and gone back and changed something, or especially the first time I've gone through.
Okay.
I have gone back sometimes.
Because I keep looking at those previous next buttons going, are they related to the tabs at the top of the screen, selection run results, or is it the actual test itself that I'm jumping through? That's kind of where I got confused. Stucklet, you had a question? It's closing and reopening the application in order to rerun tests intentionally. Is that a bug, or just the fact that this is not a fully done application?
Well, what do you mean by closing and reopening in order to rerun tests?
Like, does it remember like which tests have passed and failed when you close it and then open it?
It does remember. If I close it right now, it's going to give me the option of coming back in the middle of the run where I left off, or I can start and basically give me a choice.
Perfect.
Let's mark this
so
test.
depending on the test case, if you have to reboot or do something like that, then you kill the application, and when you launch it again, you want to continue the testing session.
Okay.
Okay, so let's mark this as pass, which is like the most elementary thing we can do. Yes. So then there's a volume button test key. So okay, I'm going to.
I didn't even notice that screen changed. Sorry.
Oh yeah, well.
It was very subtle.
Yeah, well, the test name is up here, and basically this is telling me to test the volume keys.
One of the versions that we saw had a progress bar.
Yeah.
I love that.
Yeah, people love the progress bar. Well, this one is supposed to have the progress bar up here, but somehow the control didn't get enabled. So it's a bug that we need to fix, because the Qt interface has the progress bar, but we're not updating it. It's something that we have.
If it's a bug, that's fine. But giving you a target that you're this far through that orange bar is.
Do you like it even though it's not that accurate? Because for instance, it says okay, you start the run and off the bat it says you have 58 out of 200 run. So how did that happen? I didn't run 58 tests, and also it can happen that you press next and it goes forward not by 1 but by 2 or 3 because some automated tests may run in between or some other tests may get skipped. So
I didn't actually know why it looked like that.
It gives you a relative indication of progress, but the fact is it's not very accurate.
Well, a percentage would take care of that.
Yeah.
Can you split
whatever
the
percent
automated and then manual? So you run the manual tests first with these, and then at the end you're going, okay, now I've got some automated tests I can run.
That's potentially complicated because what if a manual test depends on an automated one, or vice versa? So it's not.
But what you really want?
You can if you pass it a whitelist, just not from selecting from the interface.
Right.
So one other thing I think would be nice to have is some feedback button or help button that let you open a bug if you don't understand the test case.
Oh,
Yes.
Actually, there's two there. There's one, grab a screenshot right now. I want to take a screenshot. And something that came up yesterday, actually, one of the guys said, I don't know if you've ever tried on Google Plus, there's a report report feedback button. When you press that, it takes a snapshot of what the user interface looks like right now, and you can draw a little circle around the thing that's broken, and that gets attached, which is quite cute. I'm massively overkill for this, but you know. Sorry, I was just thinking the sliding bar. If it was like, I don't know if how you render this, but the bar that you get in the Ubiquiti installer, which shows you how much of your disk space is used, and it uses a different color for different things. So effectively, they both start at 0, and you have one color which is automatic tests and one which is manual tests, and eventually the sum of those two is all of the tests. And you can see progress being made towards the end, and one color is automatic, one color is manual.
And the skip ones are yellow.
Yeah, and then you see the
that
total
would
that you've
explain
done.
why 2 or 3 were skipped in the middle.
Yeah.
Because sometimes it jumps not only because they were automated in between, because some were implicitly skipped.
Right.
Because of dependencies.
Okay.
Like if your wireless card is not detected, well, why test WPA?
Yeah.
That's confusing with the colors. Yeah, wonderful. So,
Yeah, that will really help. Being an OEM QA, we use Checkbox every day. If there is a problem, that will be much helpful.
Sure, it's nice to know where you are.
I do like the idea of having a bug bar.
Yeah, me too. Because there's so many bad test cases.
And I find myself just dropping to a shell.
Oh no, we'll do that on it. Do you not trigger? You don't trigger a bug logging when you click no?
Well, it has to be enabled with the command line parameter. By default, we don't. So, well, if I press no, then the test case is going to be marked as failed. So I'm not going to do it on this one because it's like demo one of the feature. If you press, do you think the comment button is clear enough? So if you want to make a comment about the test case,
what happens when you press that?
Press it, and you pops the window and the no volume keys on this machine. Close it. Press no, and that's it. So it goes with your comment attached.
I don't understand. Maybe I'm clear.
If it's skipped, right?
If it doesn't have volume key, so it should be skipped.
I think we do
could
a
be
best effort to find if there is volume key, but sometimes it's difficult. The hardware tells us there's volume key, but there's not. Really
I think
No, as in they want the skip button to be underneath no.
Yeah, that we have.
But you said next will be skipped, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so I'm going to
But
skip
what is
this test. I'm going to skip it. If you press next. Okay, so it's actually asking me if I actually want to skip it.
Okay.
So
So-
well, the thing is that nobody had any idea that this was like that until I did it. So that's an example of how
So
it was not clear.
the comment, I think the button is clear, but I think the functionality is a little odd.
What, the comment button?
Yeah, so like it opens up a overlaying window.
It's just a text field.
No, I understand exactly what it is. It just looks like it's a blank dialogue at first. So, how difficult would it be to drop to, instead of putting the comment there, well, I guess the comment kind of has to be there, so like expanding the dialogue down or something, so there's a field that actually is labeled, or maybe when that opens, it should be pre-populated with text that says comment : or something like that.
Yeah, something like please insert your comment
Here, and then
like
it just
in-
erases when you go to enter something.
Or could it be a couple of radio buttons? Like one is I don't understand the test case. Another one is I'm missing something that supposedly this test case has.
Right.
Just to kind of tell it for somebody who's looking at the bugs to go, okay, it's just a bad test case, or the user interface has changed and the test case has to be updated to reflect the change.
I think that level of granularity can be expressed in what the person tells us. I mean, they will be writing something. They won't just click on a button and it'll automatically report an empty bug that says test sucks.
I'll admit I've skipped tests and not written down why I skipped them. I've just skipped them because it either makes no sense or it doesn't seem to reflect what actually happens. I've got what the hell? Next.
But there would be a button though. The thing you're talking about, like the button, but you're granularizing to the point
just
of
a little bit more
why
detail.
I want to report something about it. Is it because I don't? There's
Yeah.
something missing. I think that's what the bug content should be about.
As long as people actually do that. I
Yeah.
don't know, sometimes give them a bunch of radio blocks with news. They have to think about why they want to skip this test.
Or
Because I'm afraid that
does
I'm
a
never
skip
gonna
dialog
the-
have the ability to show the comment field?
Yeah.
What?
Does the skip dialog have the ability to show the comment field?
Yeah, one thing we could do is if you want to skip the test, you have to provide a comment because skipping a test manually is a pretty big deal, right? If we skip it automatically because we don't have a requirement, we can note that in the report. If the user skips it, like, okay, so let me try to skip this one. When we show this dialog,
Put the comment field there.
Yeah.
Why?
Reason for skipping.
But then if you
And
didn't know
not
that-
allowed to go forward unless you provide something. No, that-
No, we definitely don't want to do
I'd
that,
rather
but
just
I
say-
think it's asking why you're skipping might at least make
I'd-
people think.
I'd just kind of consider leaving a comment.
Sure.
Yeah.
Something that reminds them that it would be helpful for them to do that, but not obstruct the work that
Exactly.
they're doing.
Yeah.
Okay, so let's go to the test run quickly. Yes, we want to do this test. It works. Oh.
Thinking.
So yeah, the test run is finished and now it's building the report. So now, in theory, I finished my test run. So before we look at what we can do here, let's try to go back to run. It's black again. So to go back to selection, this is the status of the test. So this one is on, this one is on. This one was not tested, not started.
Okay, this is what, while we're there, we might as well cover Stokachu's point. He's exactly at that point.
Okay.
And he says that basically, in order to, once you're finished running tests, you can't change the set of tests.
Yeah, which is one feature that we explicitly want, right?
Yeah, should we revisit that? I don't remember the reason why.
Maybe so, because the use case for this is, okay, so I want to first test my CPU. If it doesn't work, then I'm going to go throw myself out of the window. But if it works, then I'm going to go on with the other tests. So I just mark the CPU test, I run it, and if it works, then I go back, mark all the tests, and I really want to continue with it. So that would be like the use case, and it would be
there's
a reason to do. So, and we're not catering to that use case, even though the user interface potentially works for that, because you remember we designed that on purpose. But like the hookup with the backend is not working.
Stokachu agrees.
So one other thing is that when you go to the results tab, since you cannot go back again, what happens if you want to change the very last test case?
Good one.
You cannot do that.
Actually, I wanted to, because the very last test case is a media keys test, for which there is automatic validation and there's some crappy behavior there.
What about the last but one? The last manual test you did.
Yeah, that's mine.
So the run at the conclusion of a run, well, actually at the conclusion of a run, you should be able to go back to selection and not only add more tests, but perhaps potentially click on one that says completed or whatever it is, and have the ability to rerun it.
Actually, yeah, going back to the selection and rerunning a test. Even just one, you know. So
Exactly.
I've gone through and I've been progressing forwards and forwards and forwards, and I got to the end and I think, do you know what, that video card one, a later one has increased my knowledge of how that should have happened. Or, oh, I now have two screens. Let me go back. Or I shut my machine down and I've rebooted with the second screen plugged in. I can now do that test that I couldn't do before.
Yeah.
And I'm partway through my test. I don't want to lose all the tests that I've already done. I want to go back and just say, okay, now do that one. So sometimes I might be sat
I'm
in the
just
train.
saying, like, you would ideally not even want to back. You'd
No,
like to be able
I want to go there,
Click it.
and
Exactly.
go bonk, rerun.
Yeah.
That's
And then once you rerun it, you move to the next one. You want to go out. You just want to run that. It becomes complicated.
Well, no, you would.
Well, if you've already got the status of all the subsequent ones which are ticked as done or failed or not tested, then you can skip straight to the end.
Right to the end.
But what if I do test 1, 2, 3, I go to 2, going next
Will be 4.
Will go 4,
Yes.
which might confuse the heck out of some people.
But if you have a progress bar, then the progress bar will show 3 is green if you test it, then usually when you test it.
The progress bar will solve all of our problems.
They usually do.
It's not bad. It's actually it's clear. I like it.
Yeah, I'm not sure how often I'd rerun a test. But I can see I would do it. And I know I've skipped forwards and then not gone all the way back to the beginning knowing where there's a test that I've done incorrectly or suboptimally, and I really should go back and be more conscious about that.
That would solve some of it. So like in a test run also where there are none selected, that would solve some of the issues with PES in that I don't want a linear test run. I just want to click one, run it, see what the results are. Click another one, run it, see what the results are. But I know the core doesn't really handle that very well. It's messy.
I'm like, this is UDS, so like,
Yeah.
we're planning, and it's not because it doesn't support it that I think we should also consider what should it support, how should it behave.
Absolutely.
And if there are limitations, well, we'll maybe be able to deal with it, but I'd like to concentrate on the ideal.
Yeah, I agree.
And then work our way to reality from there.
So that would be nice.
What does view results do?
Okay, so in here I basically have 2 choices. I can either submit the results with or without an email address. We do support
Anonymous?
anonymous submissions. Well,
Sure.
we'll go to that in a minute. Or I can click view report, which is basically going to pop up the browser and show me
That's sweet.
the report.
Very pretty.
So you can basically look at DMI information for the system, CPUs. Basically, the most interesting part is this one here, basically where I see all the tests that were performed, and whether they were skipped, which is in gray, passed, which is in green, or failed in red.
So this would be, I think what you guys were talking about in the beginning, this is the kind of display that they wanted to see in the selection tab of.
Take all those colors, turn them sideways, make
And put them right there.
and you've got it there.
Yeah.
And then aggregate all the greens together and all the reds together and all the greys together and you're done. Yeah, just do that. I like that screen. I like that. There's a level of confidence I have that I've done my tests. If I see that and there's some technical gubbins at the top that I don't necessarily understand, but I'm sure they need that information. And then there's all this stuff that I know I've done and all this stuff down the bottom. Yeah.
What I'm afraid of, though, is that there might be many people that are just looking at the report, like, okay, I'm done, and don't report.
Don't let the app close until they press submit.
And I mean, it's
Or
nice
pop up-
that it's useful,
You
but
pop up a dialogue once when they hit the close. It says, hey, you haven't actually submitted your results yet.
with the anything's possible. So yes,
You could also maybe give them some feedback inside the report, where perhaps the report tells you what percentage of tests you actually executed of the ones available. Hey,
That's nice.
you've tested 5% of the available tests. It just says it calculates it from
Yeah.
pass and
Doesn't
fails
say
over
you
on
suck,
tests.
and
Yeah, it doesn't
you
say you
are.
suck, it just says, hey,
So
maybe you want to do some more.
One other way would be if you just try to close the application now, you get that dialog. Like,
Yeah.
are you sure you don't want to submit the results already?
Yeah, something that says, submit your results now. Bonk. Because
So,
it's utterly
wait.
pointless doing this without.
before closing this or before closing the report, or after closing the okay. After.
When you hit that red X in the corner, pop-up
I'm not
box
even
that
sure what we
says,
have in effect.
Huh?
I'm not even sure what we have in effect. I think it's just going to tell.
It's only after you've done all the
We're going to
tests.
die.
You said you're
yes, so only if you're on this screen.
So what happens if I submit the
Well,
results?
if you're on any other screen, it should say you're in the middle of testing. You can come back later. But on the last screen, it should say
Hey,
submit.
you should don't forget to submit.
There you go.
Yeah, successfully finished testing. So if I click submit results, it tells me that I finished successfully, and that's it. There was a lot of discussion about requiring an email address, but in the end we decided not to.
Yeah, this
Did
is.
you put optional?
Yeah, I was going to say
Yeah,
you might
did
want
it
to put a
say
little
optional?
star on it that says optional.
What about displaying a link to your submission there?
Yeah, that's one other thing that we've been asked for. Like, okay, so I submitted, how do I see what I actually uploaded? So having a link here that shows the submission.
I want to see all my submissions.
Yeah, I
So
think
that
that's
should be on your
actually
Launchpad.
Yeah, it's like a badge
Did
of
you
honor.
guys link Launchpad results with people's Launchpad pages?
Yeah, well, yeah, you can have that. Don't we have that link? We have that link. Oh, but the Launchpad page is hostile. Yes, the problem is that, let's see.
Like the what you've tested link on your homepage for Launchpad should go to.
The Launchpad link isn't very user-friendly looking, if I remember correctly.
The link to go see your
Yeah.
put your
I'm
friendly
just gonna
results.
paste it on IRC, give me a sec for mine.
But it does exist.
Okay, well it exists, yeah.
Okay.
So it just needs some UX attention or something.
So I post on IRC what it looks like, and so it would be nice to either point to the results tracker, which could be nicer, or the Ubuntu friendly page, which would be even awesomer. But the problem is the real-time nature, where the results are set to Launchpad. There's a cron that runs hourly that grabs from Launchpad, and there's another cron that runs hourly that grabs from Friendly from the tracker. So potentially 2 hours off.
Oh, I see.
So until we can fix the problem of doing it through pub sub thing or whatever, that would make it quicker, like within a minute or so, we won't have
Yeah. And there's also
a
the
useful page.
anonymous doesn't give you any information about where to
hidden for
go.
a reason. It's horrible. Yeah, and you
See
don't.
my
that's a-
machines from 4 years ago that I've done checkbox on.
Thank you.
So that's basically a checkbox run. If we go back to selection, if we really can't do anything, which is not very good user
No.
experience. Because if we can't do anything, why let the user go back, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Run has nothing, which
You
doesn't
should
make
put a
sense.
little bit of text in there, just go select something.
No current
select
runs
page.
available
Yeah,
or something, yeah.
Restart checkbox to do new tests.
Yeah, you should definitely be able to go back and at least have a start over button or something here.
That's awesome.
Basically.
And Daniel, what was that you were saying at the beginning of the session?
What?
It's not going to be long. This was an awesome session.
Yeah, it was nice. Thanks everyone for not hating checkbox so much.
We don't hate it, we love it.
Check, how could anyone?